Hi there, my name is Jay with CompuMatter. In this video, I'm really excited to share with you what I've discovered that would allow you to host your own server at home or at a business without a static IP, but have it behave in every way, shape, and form as though it did have a static IP. This will work whether you have Nginx or Apache or both. Anyway, let me share with you what I've discovered. Now, this solution is going to require just a couple of variables. Cloudflare is who we're going to use for the provider of the DNS, and their API is what makes this solution work. Besides that, you're going to need access to your registrar of your domain name. Whoever it is that you got it through, you'll need to be able to go in there and change the NS1 and NS2 to the Cloudflare servers. So, to get started, I'd like you to go to cloudflare.com and log in. Okay, and after logging in the top right corner, you'll see a link for Add Site. And then go ahead and type in the name of the site, just any website that you want to be able to prove and verify that your server is actually responding. We're going to use cmcmatter.biz. And then just click on Add Site. And we'll take the free plan for now. All right, in my case, this is a domain name that was purchased at GoDaddy and has been parked. And evidently, it's pulled all of this stuff down from GoDaddy. Okay, the one thing we don't have that we're going to need to have is an A record for this domain name. Okay, for the name, we're just going to put an @ symbol. Since it's the main domain that we're fooling with, we could put in something else here if we wanted it to be a subdomain. And the address, we're just going to pick a bogus address because that's going to be updated through our script. And we're going to leave that on proxied and save it. All right, we now have our record. That's what you should see right there. Continue to save the information that I put in there thus far. Okay, we can see here, this is NS1 and NS2. We're going to need those at GoDaddy, so I'm going to go ahead and click each one of those and copy them to a separate location so we can enter those at wherever the domain registrar is. Now, it asked me if I want to look at their configuration recommendations. I don't know what they may be. For the moment, we're not going to apply secure. We'll come back to that later. Auto minify is kind of nice. It will reduce the size of files, but we're not going to worry about that right now. Okay, the next thing you've got to do is log into your domain account. My products. Scroll down a little bit, manage all. Find the domain name in question, manage the DNS. In this case, I've already done that, but I want to show you where it is. You're simply going to come down here, change these name servers, which was cache parking at GoDaddy. Hit change and save that. That's going to be a required step because now that is going to point to Cloudflare. And coming back to Cloudflare again, once you've saved that, it's probably going to take about 10 minutes for that to propagate itself through the internet where this actually works. So then go ahead and log back into Cloudflare. Right now I'm in on that domain, and that's how it works. GoDaddy points to Cloudflare. Cloudflare points to your server. We're going to change this server IP address to something. I didn't want to add anything. I wanted to edit. I guess that's doing that. We're just going to change that to something bogus right now. We'll save that. Okay, because that way you can see how this script works. We're going to change the A record, and then the script is going to detect what the proper IP address is and change that back. So the next thing that you're going to need, we're going to need some keys within Cloudflare. So we'll go back to that main record for the domain name that you're interested in. And on the right-hand side, you're going to find a couple things that I want you to copy. One is your zone ID. We don't need your account ID. We want you to click on this Get Your API Token here. And we're going to do two things because depending on the script, you could need both of them, or either one of them, I should say. First, get your global API key. You can view it by clicking here, entering in your password, and it's going to show you that 128 character key or whatever it is. Go ahead and copy that, put it to the side, make a note that it's your global API key. Then I want you to create a token. I've already done this right here earlier. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and give that a different name. So it'll be more obvious what's happening there. Okay, yeah, we'll update that. Okay, so that's basically what we're going to be doing with any new domain. We create a token, we use a template. You'll choose the default on the first line because we want to be able to edit DNS. That's the whole purpose. And we want to pick a specific zone, and that's where you'll pick the domain name of your client. And you'll be using a login, probably using your client's login at this point. And we're not going to choose any of these, and we're going to continue to the summary and approve it. And once you've done that, it's going to give you a token ID. So you'll have the key, you'll have the global down here, and then you'll have another one here, and we're going to have you, let's see. Oh, so it's going to show you that token ID when you create it, but after you create it, you don't get to see it anymore. So you want to make a note of that and have it ready for this file as well. And it's no problem to delete one and create an identical one if in fact you forgot that key. Okay, so here's where the rubber meets the road. You're going to create a bash script anywhere you like it to be. And then we're going to edit that bash script. And you're going to paste this. I'll put this in the bottom of the YouTube video so it'll be easy for you to copy and paste. It's a very short bash script. Your Cloudflare authorization information is going to be included. And there are two keys, of course. We're going to make one of them. We're going to call it token. And the other one key. This script does not use the token, so we're just going to comment that out. But for the future, you'll have it in case you change scripts. And then the rest of this file is going to do what it needs to do. It's going to get your current IP address right here from opendns.com. Whenever it needs it, it's going to return just the IP. And it does what it does. Now, if we go to the command line and run that script, and by the way, you do need to put executable permissions on that script, just like that, before you'll be able to run it. And then a dot in the file name, and it runs it. And you notice it says current IP is this, and this is an indicator that it went out there and it changed that IP address. And we can take a look at that. May as well give you the full meal deal here. We'll go into DNS, and you see that IP address has been changed. And if I change that to anything else, let's say my internet service provider, change that to 113, well, all of a sudden my server would not be reachable. But running this script, we'll change it. We'll go out to Cloudflare. I'm going to refresh this page. And bam, just like that, it changed it. So the next thing we really need to do is put this script on some kind of a cron job so that every minute or so that file will be executed, and if it's different, Cloudflare will update it, or 5 minutes or a day, or however often you want to do that. So let's give you an idea how that would work. We're going to okay, we'll call it okay, we'll just call it that. That's good enough. And then we'll paste a single command here. Alright, so now what this is going to do in a Linux environment is cause that file to be called as root every 1 minute. So right now. And now I'm not going to do anything. We're just going to go right over to Cloudflare, and we'll let you watch this change happen in real time. I will once again change that to something else. Oh, no period at the end. Okay. All right. So now I'm not. We're going to sit here together, and within a minute, I'm just going to refresh that page because maybe it'll hit me on the 30 seconds or so. It's going to make me wait the whole minute. Oh, there we go. So there's your evidence that the server is doing its job. We now have Cloudflare going to a static IP, and as a result, your domain name would go from GoDaddy to here to the server. And we're almost there. We've got one more little piece of this puzzle to put in place. When I type in the domain name and press enter, we'd of course hope to go to the website. We'll give it a security risk. We'll go ahead and get past that. Hit continue. And it brings us to the router. My actual router here at the store. So that's another layer of this. You've got to configure the router to allow that IP address to pass through to the server. You've got to do whatever configurations on the server side to turn that into a website. Okay, so let's take a look at a router. This is my router. It's going to be different than your router, but in both cases, you're going to need to find the area in your router, and it might be in the firewall section, that has to do with port forwarding. In my case, port forwarding, I've got the WAN interface, which is the Ethernet cable coming from the internet service provider into your router, is on port 0, and the port that is feeding my network, my business network, is port 1. I'm not sure how yours will be laid out, but this is the case here. Now, most everybody watching this is going to be using 80 and 443. Those are the standard ports that are used for Apache, and so you want to put the original port, the forward to port, both at 80, although typically if you leave this one empty, it'll automatically pick it up. Description is a friendly name, and do the same. Now in my case, I'm using an Nginx or NGINX proxy, reverse proxy. So in that case, if you are, you definitely want to open any ports that you've additionally assigned as part of that proxy. Now once you save all that, it's working. The outside world will be able to see that. Let me give you an example of something real quick. I'm going to turn off this one thing that says hairpin nat, because that proved to be a lesson to me. All right, we're going to open up a separate tab and go to our website, the one that we've just created, that we've linked together with everything you've learned in this video. And boom, it goes back to the router again. And here's why. It's actually working from the outside world right now, but it won't work from inside my store. And this has to do with something called hairpin nat. If I turn that on and apply it, okay, that's been applied. So let's just go over here and do nothing but refresh that browser. Oh, well, we don't have an SSL certificate, so it has to be, I'm going to tell it to get rid of cache, and there you go. cmcmatter.biz, it worked. And we can further verify that if I type, so that you know you're actually looking at this site. If I go into my index and just add the word really, okay, just so that you can see this is happening in real time, and I refresh that page, and there you have it. So that's actually working from the outside world and from inside my business network. And for those of you who aren't familiar with hairpin, I'm not really an expert at it either. I've learned this the hard way, and this particular situation was part of it. From the outside world, they go from a computer through your router to the server. From the inside world, however, for internal users, would typically get blocked right here at this router because the fingerprint, the way that this works, it gives the router the impression that it's a virus or a bad actor, even though it's not. So it would reject or block that user. So this turns off that security feature, but it turns it off only for these ports. So thanks for watching. I know that was a long video, but I wanted to cover all the possible bases. If it's 15 minutes of your life, but if I missed any one of those points, you would have run into a wall and the project would fail. I got to tell you something. I've been building servers for years. I've been hosting websites for years, decades. The static IP address has always been the gauge. I mean, if you're a business, if you're a residence, most internet service providers won't even let you have a static IP. So this opens up a huge world for residences. Virtual machines running inside of boxes behave no differently. So all of a sudden, they can easily become, a host or some mechanism along those lines. Businesses that live in remote locations that can even get a static IP, all of a sudden, this becomes doable. So I haven't seen this up until now. Recently, I have found the post that indicated Cloudflare had an API, and perhaps it's been around for years, for a couple of years rather, but I haven't seen any site or any video that's really brought all the pieces of the puzzle together so that it makes it easy for somebody like you to just follow those steps, implement it, and have a solution. So it's a total game changer. I hesitate to say that it's changed my life, but in a way it has, because we build small business servers that we expect to sell across the country and perhaps across the world. And static IP address is a very limiting factor for a lot of those people. So it opens up a whole new area for us when that time comes. So thank you very much for watching, and bye-bye.